listening to Dualcast Geekery, where we discuss all things video games, TV shows, movies, comics, and much more. I'm your host, Britny, and I'm joined by the one and only Oli.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Today we're going to skip everything gaming related and jump straight into the final episode of WandaVision that released this past Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting and fun.
So we don't have really much to talk about with gaming or TV shows besides WandaVision, but we will be jumping back into that next week. So be on the lookout for that episode. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited were you for this finale?
I would say I was 9.99999. Yeah, I was pretty excited about the episode.
Yeah, me too. You know, I know last week we had kind of talked a lot about expectations and predictions and whatnot. A couple of days before the finale actually aired, I started to retract my thinking about predictions and whatnot, and I just started to think, you know, with the way that the show had been going, I didn't think that there would be a huge, crazy WTF moment, like, at the end. You know, I knew it was more of an emotional roller coaster, as opposed to, like, oh, there's gonna be some really huge, crazy bad guy. You know, I think that, like, some people, myself included, got really excited that there could be something like that. But, you know, a couple days before it actually came out, I started to think that probably wouldn't be the case. What about you? Did you think about it much more, or?
I did. I was thinking, like, initially last week, I was thinking that it's going to be something like a big reveal, and then similar to you, like, I start to think more about it. I was like, well, if they do a big reveal, it's just one episode, you know, and then the episode's going to be, no more than 50 to an hour. And I was like, there's not much they'll be able to fit in with, like, just adding a new super bad guy, and it just wouldn't be fulfilling. So I was like, maybe there wouldn't be, like, a huge bad guy or a huge new character reveal, because that'd just be too much, you know?
Yeah, especially for a TV show, like its first TV show, and they hadn't been amping it up to that too much.
No.
But with that being said, you know, spoilers ahead, by the way, guys, of course.
Oh, yes, this is going to be a spoiler-filled episode, so if you haven't seen the final episode or the episode before, best to watch those first and then come back.
Yes, and then come back to give this podcast a listen.
Yes.
When this episode started, it picked up exactly where the last one left off.
Yeah.
Exactly where it left off.
It did, with the two kids being strangled by Agatha.
I know. So, I kind of was surprised at this, though, I will say. I really didn't think that Agatha was going to be the bad guy in the show. I know that they had amped her up to be that way. You know, they had that segment in one of the later episodes where she's revealed, you know, to have ulterior motives. But I really didn't think or feel like she was the bad guy. You know, I thought that she would have, like, redeeming qualities or something by the end of it. And that just didn't happen.
I kind of felt that she was going to be bad, but I didn't know, like, what extent of what her whole goal was or what was her purpose.
Right.
And, like, this episode did explain that.
It did. Mm-hmm. But I'm just confused because I guess, you know, I don't know a lot about comics. What I do know is that whatever I researched, you know, online, and I read about characters. And when it came to Agatha, I thought that she was a good character. Like, I didn't think that she was villainous.
And also, when I read a lot of her, it didn't seem that she was villainous either. Like, they just mentioned that, you know, her witch background and things like that. Mm-hmm. But nothing that showed that she was, like, really a bad person. I
think maybe she'll kind of be... They painted her as bad, I think, in this, pretty much. But I think she's going to keep coming back, and I think she's going to be a pain in the ass for a lot of the heroes throughout the MCU within these next couple phases. They're definitely not done with her, which we'll get into that later on in the episode, more at the conclusion, but I don't think that they're finished with her whatsoever.
Yeah, I can see that.
She's just kind of like put away for now.
Kind of like that reoccurring, like, minutes.
Right.
Like a Loki, you know?
Yeah, just like a pain type, not like a Thanos.
Yeah.
Not that Thanos wasn't a pain in the butt. But
major pain in the butt, and glad to get rid of him.
Yeah. So the episode picks up where the last one left off, and basically it's all action-packed from there. Wanda and Agatha start going back and forth. It's revealed that Agatha is trying to get Wanda's powers for herself because she wants the chaos magic.
Mm-hmm. And she does that by, of course, she used the boys to really bring her out and to bring out her anger. Mm-hmm. And then she taunts her to shoot energy bolts by, like, yanking that magic string she had on them and, like, yanking those boys. And then Wanda just, like, wham, just throws her power at him. And that's exactly what it seemed Agatha wanted.
Yeah, because then she could take it for herself.
Mm-hmm.
The whole episode just kind of is all fighting, pretty much. Except for some scenes here and there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's a lot of crazy effects. Disney spared no expense.
Oh, yeah. It was a cinematic, like a Marvel cinematic movie, like fight scene going on there. It was beautifully done, I believe. One thing I enjoyed whenever the fight started, you know, after Wanda threw the first bolt and stuff, Agatha and her start going at it. I love that little homage to Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz homage.
Oh, they did have the boots under the car when the car went through the house.
So
like the Wicked Witch.
So the fight's going on. They're fighting, and Agatha like flies up in the air, doing her little monologue, and then all of a sudden a car just hits her and throws her into like a house, and then you just see her feet just sticking out, and you're like, oh her my boots. Goodness, her boots sticking out like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And I thought that was a funny little.
It was a laughable moment. One of very few in the episode. And then, of course, White Vision shows up. Wanda is very confused. He's called White Vision. I mean, I know we already talked about that.
Yeah.
But I think some people have issues with that.
I don't know why. I mean, he's clearly
He's
white.
Like milk.
Yeah, he looked like milk. He's the whitest thing you think.
Let's call him Milk Bottle. Is that wrong?
Powder Vision.
And he has those crazy blue eyes, and, you know, his memory has been wiped. So, and he doesn't have the soul, he doesn't have the morals. He, you know, attacks Wanda, and then her vision comes to the rescue.
So, yeah.
Fake Vision.
Yeah. The way that he's holding her face like he's being all soft and gentle, then all of a sudden he's like, squeezing, and she's like
crashing her skull.
I was like, oh my goodness. I hope I don't see
like pop her head. Like, that would be awful.
I was like, what's this, Mortal Kombat or something?
The Boys.
Or something like that.
Like the show, The Boys. He's like pulling a real Homelander.
Oh, yeah. And then, yeah, like you said, then her vision that she created just pops in, and then here we go with a brawl.
Those two visions start fighting while Wanda is busy fighting with Agatha, and then the boys are just watching from the house.
She sends them, go to your rooms. You can't be seeing this type of stuff.
And then, of course, Monica, we get a glimpse at her again. The last time we saw Monica Rambeau was when Pietro had taken her from Agatha's basement when she was about to go through the cellar. Yeah. So this was the first time we've seen her since then. Pietro has her locked up in his house, or room. I guess it's Wanda's house. No,
it is his house. It's his house that
So he had his own darn house to live in, and he was living with Wanda and the boys back in the Halloween episode.
Yeah, pretty much. They kind of just like, you know,
like
Agatha had her little guys going on there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Monica was stuck inside his house. Looked like looked like either his room or like an attic, an attic area, and she like couldn't get out of there because he kept like using his speed against her. And
it also reveals that he's just a regular towns guy called Ralph Boner.
So throughout all those episodes, and the name Ralph Boner, okay. Come on, but that's funny. Disney is able to do something like that.
They always do that. Just put in one little innuendo thing to like make people laugh.
But yeah, Ralph. Like Agatha's talking about Ralph throughout the series. Like, oh, my husband Ralph.
Hold on, I just put that together. Ralph was Agatha's. She always talked about Ralph being her husband.
Yeah. She's just using Ralph as a guise.
Oh my gosh. But, and I felt like this was kind of a letdown because I really thought that there was going to be something really big with Pietro, with that character.
Yeah.
Like, not really necessarily a reveal, but more of a grand explanation as opposed to just a random towns guy.
Yeah.
Because he was Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. Evan Peters played him. So I just thought that it was going to be a little bit more of an intense explanation than it was.
Yeah.
So that was just a little bit of a letdown, but nothing really, to complain about.
Yeah. I was really hoping that it was more of a bringing in like mutants and things like that into it. That like really excited me. They kind of dangled that fruit in front of us, and then they just kind of took it away. I mean, I wasn't like super upset at it or disappointed, but it would have been something really cool to have.
Yes, I agree. And then we are moving on to a scene with Agent Wu. He's being handcuffed and taken by Hayward's people, Sword. And they're not letting him really do anything that he wants to do. And Hayward is basically just going to go in and try to demolish Wanda.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like he doesn't care who gets in the way. Like, he's willing to hurt the townspeople, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, he's willing to, like, the townspeople, he's, like, not really caring about. His whole purpose wasn't even to go in there and try to save them. That wasn't his purpose at all. And
he just wants to take out Wanda.
Yeah, he wants to take out Wanda. He wants to make his weapon like more, his white vision weapon. He wants it to test it out pretty much is what I'm thinking. And like his goal is not to help Wanda, not to really help the townspeople. It's just purely military in my opinion.
Yeah, he doesn't have, like, compassion. He just wants to get rid of her and label her a terrorist.
Yeah.
So then Wanda finds herself in the middle of the town, and we get kind of one final hurrah with the townsfolk who are, still under her spell. The barrier is still up. Agatha decides that it's time to open their minds and show them kind of what's been going on. And it's like a mass of people just angry at Wanda, like collapsing in on her as they discover what she's been doing to them. And
like, yeah, once that veil is lifted from them, they're like upset, and then they're like coming at her. She's thinking that they were all happy
she's just
and
trying
uplifted,
to console them.
But they're like, no, we can feel your pain and like all your anger and everything. And it was her grief was so great, it hurt them. And what she was doing was like, suppressing them. And I know that throughout most of the show, she didn't know what she was doing.
No.
Her powers, like, her grief was so bad and, like, took over the town that she didn't know that she's really mind controlling everybody. and like suppressing their feelings and suppressing what they really needed to do or accomplish in their real life. So I know some people may think of her as, well, she's the villain. She's really a villainous person. But her intent was not to be villainous. And I know that they say, yeah, some people's intent isn't to be bad, but they're still bad. No, but like, that's not her intent at all. Or it wasn't her mental state. She couldn't mentally control it. You know, hurt people, but it wasn't intended to do so.
Right. It's the power of grief. And within that, when she's in the town, Agatha explains to her more about the Darkhold, which this was interesting to me because I guess that book was the Darkhold, even though it didn't look like the one in Doctor Strange. I guess it was another one because she mentioned the Darkhold and then she brought the book out and explained to Wanda that the Scarlet Witch with chaos magic, which is what Wanda is, it's her destiny to destroy the world, and she's like showing her through the Darkhold through the book. What I'm assuming is the Darkhold, right? Because that's what she called it.
Yeah.
So, or she was talking about the Darkhold, so I assumed that's what it was. Yeah. I guess she just had a different version or something.
Well,
I really thought that book was different.
I think I'm going to need to watch Doctor Strange again because I do remember that, like in that library, I think they did mention something about the Darkhold, but they also had a lot of different other like books that were supposed to be off limits. You know, you're not supposed to read those. You need to keep those locked up. And I know that if I remember correctly, there was a spot that was like empty, a couple spots that are empty that should have had these books in. One was the book that I think his name was Caecilius took. And he was, you know, the main villain of the Doctor Strange movie. And he, like, was the one that opened up one of those books, of course, led to Dormammu. And this Darkhold that she had, I'm not exactly sure. I need to watch Doctor Strange again, pretty much.
Yeah. We should anyway.
Yeah, we should. We need to catch up with that, too. Especially get ready for the new Doctor Strange movie when it does come out.
Which is supposed to be in 22.
Yeah, I think so.
Not in 21.
Yeah, everything got pushed back.
I know.
Darn you, COVID.
But we do have Black Widow to look forward to in just 2 months.
Yes.
May 1st.
Yeah. And I am pretty stoked about that.
I'm excited that we get to see it in movie theaters.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Finally.
It's been a long year without movie theaters.
It
as
has
people
been.
That we went to go see movies every single week.
Pretty much. Yeah, we did. We did.
It's weird to think about now, but
we did. We went like almost like pretty much every week.
Or sometimes even twice a week.
Yeah, we enjoyed the theater. It's fun.
Yeah, I love it. But then when the townspeople talk to Wanda, there's a huge revelation sort of moment where she has to choose between, you know, letting these people stay, having control over their lives forever, or letting them go. Being
the actual good person that she is, she's not an evil person. Like, she didn't mean to do that. She, of course, chooses to let them go. So
she opens the barrier just long enough to let them out and tells them to leave. And that's a huge, like, sequence, you know, of crazy effects and everything else. And then they run out, you know, they leave. And then everybody that's watching on from Sword Facility is seeing it.
They start rushing in.
Yeah, when they know those people are coming out and the barrier's up long enough, that's when they take their shot to go into the barrier and confront Wanda.
Remember, folks, when this is happening, Wanda's opening up this barrier. The barrier's kind of like opening up and dissipating. And this causes issues with Vision and the boys.
So with Vision especially, he's caught up in the sky fighting White Vision. And that's when he kind of starts falling apart, you know, when he's getting into those pieces of the barrier that's being lifted.
Yes.
And then, a scene ensues with both Visions, and Wanda's Vision talks White Vision into, like, letting him kind of restore his memories, I guess. And, he kind of... He restores his memories, but White Vision still is emotionless.
Yeah.
He's still soulless. He doesn't have his morals or his emotional connection to those memories. But, at least we know that he does have his memories again.
He has those memories. The other thing is that how Vision gets the other Vision to kind of like stop is by posing like a question, and then the question is like just in the middle of a fight. He's like,
I request elaboration.
Yeah, and they just start having like an intellectual like talk, and like that's how the artificial intelligence in Marvel like seems to work, because it was similar to like that's how I felt whenever I saw Age of Ultron. When Ultron was first being created, he like goes to the internet and he's just getting all this information, and then he takes in the information, and then he makes, his decision on what to do. And the same thing happened whenever Vision came to, he like was questioning things. So this is just another, reason like the artificial intelligence, it wants to know more. And whenever he is posed with that question, he then wanted to elaborate on like what he is, what the current Vision is, who's the real Vision and who's not the real Vision.
Like, what was his past?
Yeah, what was his past? What's his purpose? And then that's whenever they do the mind meld. I call it mind meld, but where
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, where they do like the mind thing and teaches them everything. They both decide that, they don't have the Mind Stone, so neither of them are Vision. So, but he restores his memories, and then because he like, of course, has access to them because he's like a computer database, so he just helps him get access to those memories. And with that, we see a flash of like, things that happen in Age of Ultron, all
Infinity
War, Captain America's Civil War, everything that he was a part of.
I really liked that scene was done in the library.
Yes.
I thought that was kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
Just like, getting knowledge, and then you got all this flying paper, and it's just like very cinematic.
Yeah, they did.
Very aesthetically pleasing. And it reminded me so much of, more so than when I watch a normal action movie, just like a regular like Marvel movie, DC movie, whatever. It felt more like a fighting game. For some reason, the way they were fighting each other just reminded me so much of Injustice, which I know is DC, but just the fighting and then the throwing each other like through the rooms, it reminded me so much of the level transitions.
Yeah.
In Injustice.
I can see that.
And some of their movements were very much like Superman from Injustice. I might get some hate by comparing Vision to Superman, but you have to admit that it was there. The lasers.
Yeah, the shooting the laser, I can see that, how they had the
it looks so much like that
laser battle. It also was reminiscent of, I keep bringing up Age of Ultron, but, Vision was in Age of Ultron, did a lot of fighting.
Disney keeps bringing it up. So.
Yeah, we might as well. Whenever all those Ultrons were flying around, and you first see War Machine, he's thinking he's doing something, and then Vision comes in and just starts destroying them and, like, shooting out his laser and ripping them in half and, like, putting his hand through things. And
Vision is strong.
Vision is pretty cool character. And once you, like, I know a lot of people were saying that he's such a weak character throughout, like, Infinity War, but you'd be weak too if you were just standing there and someone stabbed you from behind and, like, just messed up your internal organs and you couldn't use your powers
your
like you
cogs
normally.
And gears.
Yeah, like your cogs and gears, and you can't do, like, he couldn't phase, he couldn't use all his strength. He was like really weakened after getting stabbed by that, and that was a special weapon that I guess his name was Corvus Glaive. His weapon is like a special weapon, similar to how Thanos had that special sword that was able to break Captain America's shield. You know, no normal sword or weapon is going to break Captain America's shield.
No.
It had to be special. And Corvus Glaive is known to have like a special weapon, and that weapon was able to disrupt and hurt Vision, which prevented him from using his power. That's why he was such in a weakened state throughout the movie and was easily, dispersed of.
Yeah.
But I know that has nothing to do with this episode, but I just went into
no,
that.
That's okay. That's what podcasting is for. I really enjoyed this scene where the boys are left. Okay, well, first of all, I laughed so hard, and I thought that is just so cute. I guess it's me getting older and just like that motherly instinct somehow. But when Wanda's like, I gotta go take care of something, boys, you take care of the FBI.
Yes.
Or she was like, take care of the guns, or whatever she said. I forget what she said. And they're like, cool. And then they're like, they have their own like little cute scene where they run around, like one of them, I forget which one has the speed. Who has the speed? Wiccan, or Tommy and Billy, I know, but what are their names when they're Young Avengers?
Tommy is Speed.
Okay.
And Billy is Wiccan.
Okay, so his name is Speed?
Yeah, his name is Speed. Mm-hmm.
So he runs and takes, like, moves all their guns or takes their guns or whatever, and then takes one's hat and his sunglasses. It was just a really cute scene. And then Monica comes up. She runs up and she, like, takes the bullets for the boys, and, like, her eyes glow like gold.
Yeah, and you know who did? It's like, I can't believe Hayward.
Oh, I'm not shocked.
Yeah, he like pulls out the gun, and his goal is trying to kill these little
boys. He's like, oh, no one's gonna see, because that's what he told Agent Wu. Like, oh, no one's gonna know.
Yeah, like he's gonna
what he does in the barrier.
Yeah, he's gonna cover it all up. So
like,
if
you're gonna shoot two little kids.
Like he was planning on killing these two little kids, pulled out a gun, and shot at him. Monica jumps in front of him, and then the bullets go through her, and then like due to her power, like having electromagnetic, it's just like they just start dropping like they were nothing. And then the last bullet goes through, and you're like, oh no. But Wiccan has the ability to stop the bullet and then just like drops it.
Yes, it's so cute. I really liked that. It was very like empowering. And how cool, I've had this gripe. I'm going to go off just a little bit of WandaVision topic, but did I not say this too long ago when we were talking, that why are children superheroes always made in kiddie type movies that are really not great, not great effects. The story is kind of like more dumbed down or something, and like their powers are kind of like dumbed down. Kids superheroes aren't really made in the same way that adult superheroes are, but it's actually really cool to see kids in that environment. And how cool is that for kids to be able to see that? Not to diss Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but, it's way cooler than that.
Yeah.
In this instance, in WandaVision with the children.
And, like, you bringing that up makes me just think about that. Like, Shark Girl and Lava Boy. I mean, was it Shark Boy and Lava Girl? I'm sorry. Whenever that movie came out, the acting was bad. And,
you were an adult when that came out.
Yeah, so. I remember still, but it was pretty bad. But I was thinking about, like, just recently on, Netflix, they have, like, a new movie or a new show or whatever with like superhero kids, and it still looks terrible.
Well, it's still done in the style of the preteen movies.
Yeah, it's done like a kiddie thing that's not like come on, kids can use some good special effects and not look like a bunch of cartoony junk. Yeah, and the story looks
adults could enjoy it too, and watching it more so.
And then they made the adult superheroes in there look like a bunch of jokes too. I was like, this is this I don't even want to watch this, and I like superhero movies. I'm like, look at this.
It's like, growing up, I really loved the Spy Kids movies. But
I'm sorry.
I know that's okay, but I really did like them. And mind you, I was really young when they came out.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed them. But most of the kiddie superhero movies are done in that style.
Yes.
Like they kind of go off of that, which is kind of cool when you're young, but it would just be really cool to see like a more mature version of children's superheroes, like done in a more mature fashion like that. I mean, not, you know.
Yeah, not, you don't have to add a bunch of blood and all that other jazz to it.
But like that scene was just so cute.
They can make it where it has like a story that like kids can follow, but like it doesn't show that there are a bunch of dum-dums, because kids are smarter than what we think, than what they're portraying now. And like their
entertainment can be like innocent but very well done.
And an example of this is Stranger Things. You know that, like, even though that's like more like, I know some of it a little bit adultish and has like a little bit of violence in it. The thing that I like about that, they were acting well. If you watch the Spy Kids, if you guys go back to watching Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl, you'll see the acting is horrendous. The kids are acting terribly. It is the worst thing you'll see. Is cringy, terrible. I'm sorry, I'm ruining your childhoods, but it's terrible. But I mean, they're really bad, and like in this show, like those kids were doing good acting. And
they were so good. They picked really good actors.
And I'm liking this now that they're doing like kids that actually can act in movies instead of just like, and just kind of remembering lines and doing like a horrible job at it.
Yeah, I know that was a little sideways, but...
Hey, we had to talk about it. It's something that needed to be said.
Yeah. I didn't realize you hated Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl so bad.
I just think the acting was so bad, and like being forced to watch that was a sin.
You were forced to watch it?
It was just bad.
Kids in my generation really enjoy it. No shame, I'd watch them again. I'll just make sure you're not home.
I bet you'd be looking at them a little differently now. You're like, oh, he's right. Oh.
I'm going to have to tell you you're right again and I was wrong. Oh no. Maybe I will just keep those buried. Then we get the scene where Wanda brings Agatha back to her past.
Yeah.
To that area where the witches have her tied up to the stake and they're, taking her powers from her because they don't think that she needs it. Well, we know in the past Agatha had drained the witches entirely and gotten the power herself and continued to live. In this scene, they're kind of reassuring Wanda. The witches are kind of reassuring her that she is the Scarlet Witch, like Agatha is convincing her of, trying to convince her of. And it's the first glimpse we see of Wanda getting her headdress, like her headpiece for her costume.
Yeah.
And she's, like the red, like crown thing.
Yeah, that looks like a little bit like an M.
Mm-hmm. And Agatha is trying to... Oh, it does.
Mm-hmm.
And Agatha is trying to convince her to give her chaos magic. And Agatha is promising her, if you give me your powers, I'll reverse the issues in your original spell. And then everybody will be free to do as they please. Like you can have your family, you can have whatever. Just give me the power and you'll be free and you won't have to be the Scarlet Witch, blah, blah, blah. They kind of play it like Wanda is going to give her those powers. Mm-hmm. And they come out of the woods and Wanda starts like casting her magic at Agatha, like seemingly like she's going to give her the powers.
Like they both come out of that trance that she, it's similar to a trance that she put on Tony Stark back in Age of Ultron, wherever she just creeps up behind him and puts her little magic. She did the same thing to Agatha, and then go into that scene, and then they pop out of that, and then Wanda's like you said, just hurling her little bolts of power.
It's the biggest fight scene in the episode, and the colors are wonderful.
Yes,
And the effects of the magic is so great. And I can't wait to see more of it in the MCU.
And the thing that we both noticed, like, while she's doing this, you see her hands turning gray, and she's starting to look like she's just getting drained, kind of like how those witches that were trying to shoot their powers at Agatha, and how they just got drained.
When she sucked it out of them.
Yep, and that's exactly what's happening.
Sucked the powers out of them.
Yeah. And that's what's happening to Wanda. But then you start noticing, you're like, she's missing a lot. What's going on with her?
Her throw is bad.
Maybe
her aim is off. She never played softball growing up.
Or something, because, she's like missing, and she's like, I'm like, maybe she's just really drained. I'm thinking she's drained and like, and just missing because she just doesn't have all her powers and stuff. But then we find out that something else is going wrong.
Agatha's convinced that she's received all the chaos magic and that Wanda is drained and dying, basically wiped out. But then Agatha's powers are suddenly gone.
Yeah, non-existent. And then Wanda says, hey, see, Wanda's a fast learner.
She is.
As we're learning.
Agatha taught her only the witch who cast the hexes can use her powers within those barriers.
So, yep, she has Agatha depowered. And then you, see her, just take back all her energy and,
huge hexes on the barrier.
Oh, yeah, they were ginormous. There no magic was going to be used in there. And she just drains her of all that energy and takes all her energy, her chaos energy back. And I was thinking that she was taking all of Agatha's, but then when I looked at it, she didn't really take any of the purple energy. She just seemed to take a bunch of her energy,
the chaos
magic, and just kind of tossed her to the side. And
do we know what kind of magic Agatha wields?
We know that she has some form of attachment to chaos magic, or she was practicing it. And learned a few spells, but I don't think she really has the control or the connection to chaos magic like Wanda.
No, I mean Wanda is chaos magic.
Yeah,
that's what makes her the Scarlet Witch.
And in the previous episode, you kind of seen that silhouette whenever she walks into that room, you mentioned, and it seems like from what Agatha was saying and throughout that not Scarlet Witch, but Wanda already had the witch-like power within her. Yep. And the Infinity Gem Infinity Stone just went ahead and woke that up.
Amplified it.
Amplified it, woke it up, made that connection to it, and then then she became what she is,
And I absolutely loved the transition of her costume.
Oh, yeah.
Her armor. I feel weird calling it a costume, but I mean, that's what it is.
But it's her power armor, pretty much.
That was a great costume.
Oh, yeah. What they did, the way that they converted the costume from the comic into the movies, it's the perfect way they did it, It's kind of has a mixture of the red and everything. It's just done really well, and it looks like it's a really good costume.
It is, and I like the red. It's not too in your face. It's subtle.
Yeah. They did a good job with the creation of this costume and her abilities and things like that. It's just really cool.
MCU does great costumes.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Captain America, I love his Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah. Costume. All his costumes have been good.
All of his costumes are great, but I always think about that one. Whenever I think of Captain America, for some reason, I always think of that one. But
yeah, the one Winter Soldier was a good costume, and normally you wouldn't think Captain America is if you look at the comics, you're like, how can they convert that over to and make it look good? It's not I'm gonna hop over to DC for a second. It's not like Batman where Batman, you have all these different bat suits that you can make it because it's so dark and you can make it always look cool or whatever.
Yeah.
But Captain America is this bright red, white, and blue, and you're like, it's just gonna look foolish. But they did a way to make it look good. Yeah, where it doesn't look foolish.
They have wonderful designers.
Yeah.
And, this kind of, the episode isn't over, but some of it's kind of coming to a head. She has defeated Agatha in a way, not killed her, but taken powers from her and subdued her. And Wanda uses her magic to kind of change her persona. Mm-hmm. And she says, I'm going to give you the role of the nosy neighbor.
Yes.
And kind of like in a mental jail.
Yeah.
Instead of locking her up, she keeps her in Westview as a certain personality, and just like leaves her there. And
they kind of like left it in a way where if she ever like needs like knowledge, or like if she's like, man, I don't know how to do something, she'd come back and snap her out of it and be like this, hey, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm. So. Oh yeah, Agatha's not over yet. She'll be useful in the future, I think.
I think so.
And I hope to have a redemption story.
Yeah.
With Agatha.
To kind of like bring her back to like her comic book roots and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, due to, what's going on in Marvel Cinematic Universe, if they may adjust her character a little bit in the comics, because they've done that. They've been doing that.
Yeah.
Where
they take liberties.
Where like the movies, like the characters start hitting off real good, they make adjustments to the characters in the comics to kind of match that and like just like bring those characters like more into the foreground again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a lot of options with her character, so I'm glad that they ended it that way with her. And, we just kind of get some loose end tie-ups for the rest of the episode. Some that are extremely sad.
Yeah.
I mean, really the rest of the episode is pretty awful as far as, like, emotions go. Wanda knows what she could do. She could either do, what would be considered the right thing and let Westview go back to how it was and destroy the barrier. But in doing that, she's going to lose her family. Mm-hmm. Because they can't exist outside of the barrier.
Yeah.
The boys were created in the barrier in her mind. Vision was created in her mind. So they can't exist in the real world.
Yeah. And it's a pretty sad, like, scene where, she's saying goodnight to the kids. Mm-hmm. And there's like good night, and that the barrier, you can see it from the distance through their window closing. That it's closing. It's coming
and they
closer.
Just go home, and it's so somber, and they're putting the boys to bed, and then there are so many lines where you're like wanting to bawl your eyes out because it's so sad. Mm-hmm. And they don't show it; they do it very tastefully. With the boys anyway. With Vision, they're like all out, just. Yeah. Sad.
Yeah, just let him, like, he's just, like, disintegrating in her hands while they're kissing.
But they have some very good last lines. Mm-hmm. And with Vision, that he will probably come back some way. Yeah. Like they said, this isn't the first time we said goodbye, so we'll say hello again. Mm-hmm. It's so bad. Yeah. It's so sad.
It was.
The boys, they kind of left more to the imagination of, like, is this the end? Mm-hmm. But, or, like, it seemed very final with the boys. But, Vision, yeah, I think we can expect to see him again.
Yeah.
And then once all of that family drama and sadness is over, Wanda's leaving Westview, the barrier's down, everything is done, and she has a conversation with Monica, which I was glad to see because we didn't get, Wanda was always upset with Monica because she was trying to talk her out of doing all of this within the barrier and trying to talk her down. So I'm glad that we got this last scene with them, and Wanda apologizes and Monica is like, no judge. Mint,
Mm-hmm. She's like, I would have did the same thing because she talked about how much she missed her mom and how she, like, if she had the power, she think that she would probably done the same thing without a grief and brought her mom back. So, like, she didn't have, like, she couldn't throw any shade on her on that.
Right.
And she did say something like, if the people just knew what you actually gave up. Like, again, like I said before, it was like she wasn't trying to. It was grief. It wasn't like it was like a mental state that she couldn't control. And that doesn't make her a bad guy. It doesn't. It still sucks of what happened, but we know that wasn't her goal and what she meant to do. So she wasn't trying to gather up all this power and do horrible things, like kind of like what Agatha was trying to do. We don't know what Agatha would have done with that type of power because she didn't seem like very stable at that moment. But that's my take on things. But yeah, it was a good closure between her and Monica.
It was. And, Wanda apologized and, she basically promises Monica that she doesn't understand her powers, but she will. That she's going to learn about what she's capable of and harness it and control it. And then it's done.
Yeah, it is done.
And then that's how it ends. Sort of. Because if you haven't been fast forwarding through the credits, there are 2 end credit scenes in this episode. The first one is after the flashier credits, and then after the rolling black and white credits with just the text. Then there's another scene. So the first scene, I'm just going to go ahead and admit it. I don't know about Captain Marvel. I never saw the movie. I know nothing about Captain Marvel. So can you kind of explain a little bit about what happens?
Okay. Well, in that first scene, we see they ask Monica to go to the theater. She goes walking to the theater with this agent, and she turns around. The agent looks at her and starts talking to her and things like that. And then you see this person change into this green alien. And this green alien is called a Skrull. And Skrulls are known in the Marvel Universe as sometimes they're terrible beings that they're aliens that have the ability to, morph and transform themselves into other beings, and and they try to take over, in the comics they try to take over Earth. And it's not their fault. It is their fault they're trying to take over the Earth, but things led that because if in the past they were known as a peaceful race, and then there's another alien race called the Kree, who comes over to their planet, takes over and causes these people to become violent people, and they're they hate the Kree, and then they go to Earth because they're trying to find a new planet. They try to take over Earth, and things, they have all kind of troubles with the different heroes and stuff. Well, the Skrulls are from, in Captain Marvel, you introduced to the Skrulls, and they're they kind of infiltrated Earth, and they talk to her, and it's Monica, they're wanting you at base. And she's at base, and he's they point up there, in the sky. And
heaven.
Yeah. So, and there is a, as we know from Captain Marvel and from Spider-Man Far From Home, there is a base. And that base is up in space area. It's the SWORD main facility.
Okay.
And in that main facility right now is Director Fury. Nick Fury is up there. And he is the one, I believe, is wanting Monica to come up to that base.
So all of their base belong to Nick Fury?
Yeah, all their base now belong to Nick Fury.
So basically, they're summoning Monica into the next Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Is that how we can kind of take this?
I think she's going to be in the next Captain Marvel movie. Yeah, I am taking it such as that. And
okay.
I'm not going to say anything else about that, but yeah.
And then we get, so that's good to know because, I'm daft in that field.
Of Captain Marvel.
So it just went over my head, but that's all right. So then if you fast forward through the second set of credits, then you'll get a really cool end scene. Kind of the camera spans across some really pretty valleys of a mountain with a lake, really gorgeous. I would love to be there in that cabin.
Oh yeah. And it zooms into that cabin, and you just see Wanda just there, just living her life.
Sitting there so serene, so peaceful with her mug of whatever she's got. And she goes inside this little cabin. It pans to the back of the cabin, and we see an illusion of her as Scarlet Witch kind of levitating and reading a book and like learning things. Like it's her soul, like in her mind. Like her mind is learning while her body is off, like doing whatever.
Doing things, yeah. And it's a similar scene to if you've seen Doctor Strange, you remember this scene where he's like studying while he's sleeping, and he's like just going through books and studying continuously, and that's how he like catches on so quickly.
Because how I would love to be able to do that.
So he's able to like astral projection is what they call it.
Okay.
And he astral projects and starts reading. This is what Wanda's doing. She's astral projecting herself, and she's reading the Darkhold and like just learning how to control her magic, and this is just going to amplify her magic drastically. So I am excited about like the future of, like, they mentioned that she's going to be in the next what's his name, Doctor Strange movie.
And another cool thing about this is if you listen closely, and even on the closed caption, it says those are her boys, Tommy and Billy. So you can hear the boys. She's hearing them. They still exist somewhere in the multiverse. In some universe, the boys are alive.
Yeah.
Somewhere, somehow.
And they're calling for her, and she's going, and she's working to
find them.
Yeah.
She's going to get her boys back.
And that's how I believe that they will bring them into the cinematic universe. And if you know the comics or read the comics, you know that both Speed and Wiccan, which are their superhero names.
Billy and Tommy.
Yeah, Billy and Tommy. They show up in what they call the Young Avengers, which is like a younger version of the Avengers, but, like the kids of some of the Avengers. They mentioned Stature's going to be part of that, and they brought her in, and they're going to bring in Miss Marvel. Yeah, she may be part of it. Squirrel Girl, if they decide to do that.
I would love to see that.
And
step above Shark Boy.
Yes. They even have like a kid Vision, which then you find out is not really Vision, more like an Iron Man person who's trying to be like Vision. But it's
cute.
Yeah,
I would like to see that happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
So lots of little Easter eggs for things we can expect coming up in the future. And I loved it.
Yeah.
Overall, 10/10.
Yeah.
Loved this show so much. I knew I was going to like it just from what I saw about when I thought it was all sitcom. When I thought it was all like 1950s type sitcom, I was okay with that. And I really do still enjoy those episodes a lot. But the show just kept getting better and better. And there wasn't really a dull moment, not a dull episode. And I think overall they did really well with this first introduction of their MCU TV shows. Like in this aspect, like Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think they did real good. And this is their first television show that they released on Disney Plus, and from
MCU.
From Marvel Cinematic Universe, from the Marvel people. And I think they did real good. Similar to Disney Plus did with the Star Wars, with the Mandalorian. I thought that was a well done show. And this is just showing that they're going to be doing high quality shows.
Yeah, and it just shows that they can really do anything that they put their minds to.
Get good writers, you can do some good movies, good shows and things like that.
Well, both, because they have to tie them all together, and they do so well with it.
Yeah, they're doing great with keeping things linear and keeping up with things. I'm pretty sure they got somebody who has notes everywhere. It's like, okay, gotta take these notes over to that movie.
Can you imagine? Oh my gosh!
It must
As
be,
a writer, that just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy how much you gotta keep in mind and stuff, and write the stories around these events.
Overall, what did you think?
I thought it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Me too.
Out of 5, I give it 5 out of 5. Out of 10, I give it a 10 out of 10. They did great.
Out of 1,000, I give it 1,000,000.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, it was a great show, I believe, and
it was so fun. It was a good Friday night watch. We
was.
didn't watch it. A lot of people would stay up and just watch it as soon as it dropped. We always took time with it and would watch it Friday nights. And now we have 2 free weeks before the Falcon and the Winter Soldier releases.
Yeah,
we will be covering that. Every week we'll cover the episode as they release. But until then, we don't really have a show to cover, so we'll just think of some great topics and have some games that we'll be talking about, maybe some other TV shows that aren't related to Marvel, and just kind of talk about those things in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Until Falcon and Bucky grace our screens.
Yeah, Falcon Winter Soldier. Woo woo.
All right, guys. Well, I think that covers this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. We always enjoy hearing from our listeners. So if you want to shoot us an email, you can email us at dualcastpod@gmail.com. That's dualcastpod@gmail.com. And you can also find us on Instagram and Twitter, both at dualcastpod. Until next time.
This is Mad Ollie X.
And this is Britney.
And we are signing off.
Have a good rest of your week, everybody.
Excelsior.
See you.
Bye.